Okay, so for those of you just joining us, this guy did a miniseries called The Bible on the History Channel, in which he wants to have taught to our kids in schools. I already did one video on this, including parts 1 and 2, and now this is parts 3 and 4. So the last time we saw our motley band of Bible heroes, Moses had been promised all kinds of really cool shit by God. But of course, God's a dickhead, so Moses gets lost in the desert for 40 years and wanders around, and he dies, and then it's 40 years later, and Joshua is standing in front of the Ark of the Covenant, and he's like, God, dude, you totally promised us that we'd have all kinds of land and slaves and cows and shit. Where's my shit, dude? And so God's like, I'll tell you what, dude, I'll totally let you go into Jericho, the next town over, kill everybody in it, take all their shit. But here's what you gotta do first. You gotta walk around that motherfucker carrying the Ark of the Covenant, all your soldiers, like, every day for 6 days. And on the 7th day, you have to walk around it 7 times, and then I want you to blow horns at the wall and yell at the motherfucker, and then I'll collapse it, and you can go in and kill everybody. And then Joshua was like, dude, what the fuck would you go through all that trouble for? You're all powerful. Just blink everybody in that city, out of that city, and blink us into that city. Aren't we your chosen people? Why would you make us go through so much trouble? But God says, dance, monkeys! And so the monkeys dance, and they walk around a bunch of times, they yell at the walls, they blow horns at it, and the walls crumble, and all the people in there die brutally. And then Joshua runs in there, and he kills all the motherfuckers that are still alive, and he chops them up little bits, and he kills all their animals, and he takes all their shit, and he takes all their virgin daughters to be his sex slaves. And then they're like, yay! God just let us murder all these motherfuckers and take their daughters as sex slaves! Israel! 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 And the next thing you know, Joshua's dead. And there's these people called the Philistines who are just fucking shit up. And there aren't any real good heroes left because Joshua's dead, Moses is dead. So God sends these people called judges to lay down the law. Like it's Judge fucking Dredd up in this bitch or some shit. And he goes to this woman who's barren, and he sends an angel. And he's like, you're going to have one of the greatest judges ever. But here's the deal, man. You can't let that kid cut his hair ever because his hair will be the source of his power. And she's like, what? What the hell are you talking about? Why would his hair be the source of a magical power, man? That doesn't even make any sense. How are the two things even connected? And the angel's like, bitch, just get pregnant. So she does. She gets pregnant. Next thing you know, she gives birth to sexual chocolate Mark Henry. And she calls him Samson, and he becomes a badass motherfucker, starts whooping dudes' asses all over the place. And starts making a name for himself and sort of becoming famous. So like pretty much every other black athlete when he becomes famous, he immediately goes out and marries a white woman. And the white people in town ain't having it. They're like, oh hell no, that motherfucker ain't marrying no white women. So of course they go to his wife's house and they burn her alive. And needless to say, this does not make Samson very happy. He is very disgruntled by this news. He's slow walking up to motherfuckers. And he's like, what do the two hands say to the neck? Snap! He's giving motherfuckers a soup bone, hitting motherfuckers with sticks, kicking doors down, he's uppercutting motherfuckers, he's pushing motherfuckers off high places. He's just killing white folks everywhere. So the townspeople go to Samson, and they're like, dude, you gotta turn yourself in. So Samson's like, okay. So he goes and turns himself in, and the evil racist guy says, kill him. But Samson's like, fuck that shit. And then he goes all Django Unchained, starts breaking free and shit, starts throwing logs at motherfuckers, starts slinging his iron around. And then they got him surrounded, but he ain't scared. Of course not. He sees the jawbone of an ass down on the ground, and he goes, picks it up, starts dual wielding that motherfucker like he's Bruce Lee. And the next thing you know, he's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, and fuck you, I'm out. And the dudes are pissed off again, and the one dude's like, we gotta get this motherfucker. And the other dude's like, don't worry, dude, I know what his kryptonite is. White women. Bring me Delilah. So he does, he brings her Delilah, and I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke niggas, cause the next thing you know, she's cutting Samson's hair, and she must have fucked him ragged first, because he ain't waking up worth a shit. So she gets all his hair cut off, and then the bad guy comes in, it's like, wake up, Samson, and Samson's like, oh hell no, you didn't come in my bedroom like this, motherfuckers, I'm gonna kill y'all. And he jumps out, he attacks him, but they kick his ass, and he's like, what happened to my strength? Bitch, did you cut my hair? I specifically asked you not to do that. What the fuck is wrong with you? And the bad guy's like, I tell you what's wrong with her. I make it rain, I make it rain, I make it rain on them hoes. And he does, he makes it rain on them hoes. And then he's like, take a good look at this white woman. It's the last white woman you ever gonna see, motherfucker. And he like pokes Samson's eyes out with his thumb and Samson scream and he's all in pain as shit. And the next thing you know, Samson's all fucking beat up, tortured, blind. He's in pain. Just like God's chosen people always end up. So the next thing you know, Samson's all in agony and shit. And he's like, hey God, it's me, it's Samson. Remember me? Is there any way that you could possibly like give me my powers back for a few minutes and shit? I mean, I know I got short hair and all, but logically we both know that my long hair had absolutely nothing to do with my magical powers to begin with, and you could just give them back to me at any time you wanted to, so could you just give them back to me for a second so I can kill all these motherfuckers? And so God's like, hell yeah, give them back to you so you can kill those motherfuckers. I would really like to see that. So he does, he gives Samson his powers back, and Samson pushes the pillars down, and kills all the motherfuckers brutally, and big stones fall on him and crush them all, including Samson himself, who dies horribly. And then his mother has to come cry over his dead, crushed body. And she's like, thanks a lot for choosing my son, God. Fucking dickhead. And so the next thing you know, the prophet Samuel is telling Saul that God wants him to go in the next village and murder every motherfucker in that place, including all the animals and all the little kids, all the women and children. Everybody must die. So Saul goes into town, he murders pretty much everybody, but he leaves a few people alive for himself to make slaves out of. And he decides to leave some animals alive too, and man, the prophet Samuel is pissed. He's like, motherfucker, what did I tell you? God wanted everybody dead. And that means everybody. So to make his point, Samuel, God's own chosen prophet, walks up to the dude and murders him in cold blood and shit, bleeds him out, and he's like, Saul, because you didn't murder all these motherfuckers like God told you to, God is going to choose a new king. So the next thing you know, there's this kid named David who sees this dog minding his own damn business, so he decides to assault the dog, so he throws a rock and hits the dog, and the dog squeals and runs off. So the prophet Samuel sees that, and he's like, dude, I like the cut of your jib, man. God loves the way you just assault animals without any provocation whatsoever. Come with me, dude. And so they go down by the river, and the prophet Samuel says, God told me if I pour this honey on your head that you'll be king someday. And David's like, what? But the next thing you know, there's like giants stomping around, and the giant's like, can you believe that in 4,000 years motherfuckers are still going to believe this stupid shit is true? But then the next thing you know, David's like, hey Goliath, you got something on your face. It's a rock, bitch. Can I borrow your sword? You just got chopped. Please pack your knives and go. And he holds up his head, man. He's like, yay, God, just let me brutally murder this motherfucker and cut his head off. Let's chase all these motherfuckers down, kill them, and make slaves out of the one that survives. And they do, man. They chase all the motherfuckers down and murder them all brutally, and they make slaves out of the ones that survive. And David is like the baddest motherfucker on earth, man. He's like fucking Spartacus. He's dual-wielding swords. He's like a fucking whirling dervish of death. And he grows up to be this really good-looking, blue-eyed white dude. And the next thing you know, Saul's like, hey, David, I'm going to totally give you my daughter, dude. But first, you got to kill 100 Philistines for me. And David's like, I was going to do that shit anyway. So the next thing you know, David is back. And he throws Saul a bag of 200 foreskins that he cut off 200 Philistines that he killed. He literally throws the guy a bag of dicks. And he's like, here's your bag of dicks, Saul. I want your daughter now. So Saul gives him his daughter for a bag of dicks. And immediately Saul has buyer's remorse. He's like, I don't even want this bag of dicks. Why did I give this guy my daughter for this bag of dicks? And he's like, I'm going to kill David. I dare him give me a bag of dicks. So he goes out and tries to find David to kill him. But before he can, his son gets killed in a battle. So Saul's all depressed and shit. And he's like, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. So he commits ritual seppuku like he's a fucking Japanese samurai warrior or some shit. And the next thing you know, David is the king. So of course, immediately, he has to start killing motherfuckers and taking their shit. So that's what he does. He attacks Jerusalem, kills motherfucking everybody, and takes all their shit. So the next thing you know, David is taking over Jerusalem. They're all celebrating shit. And he's walking through the streets with his shirt off, showing off his six-pack, looking all cute and shit. Then he sees a girl he thinks is hot. And he's like, hey, baby, what's up? And he starts macking on her right in front of her husband. Starts dancing with her, asking her what her sign is. And it's totally fucking awkward, man. Everybody notices. But David don't give a fuck. He walks back to his quarters all cocky and shit, puffs out his chest, smiles himself and says, I'm gonna fuck that dude's wife. So the next thing you know, he's all perving on her and shit, watching her while she bathes. And he's like, bring that woman to me. So they do, they bring that woman to him. And she says, no, King David, no, we can't do this. I'm married. But King David's like, shut the fuck up. It ain't rape if you're the king. So basically he rapes this poor girl despite what she says. And the next thing you know, she's pregnant. So of course he does what any guy chosen by God would do. He orders that her husband be sent to the front lines of the most dangerous battle so he'll be murdered. And that's exactly what happens. He rapes this poor woman, and then he has her husband murdered like a fucking psychopath, and then he marries her himself. And so obviously God is pissed. So he sends a prophet to tell David that he's going to murder David's baby, because that's what God does when he gets pissed. He murders babies. And David's like, what the fuck? Why would God murder my little baby for something I did? Why does God murder babies when he's pissed off at people? That's some fucked up shit, dude. But of course, that's what God does. God murders his little baby. But for some reason, he gets him another baby to replace that baby with. Because fuck that first baby. And that's how parts 3 and 4 end, with God being a douchebag, just like he always fucking is. And is it just me, or is God a really fucking poor judge of character? I mean, I'm not all-knowing or all-powerful at all, but somehow I've managed to live my entire life without hanging around rapists, murderers, and psychopaths. What the fuck is God's problem, man? Seriously, you people want to have this stuff taught in our schools to our children? No thanks, man.